Hello there guys, and welcome back to our car modeling tutorial. And today in this episode what I think we'll do is we'll hopefully get the base mesh finished. So that means we're going to fill in this little gap here, and we'll get our spoiler put on the top, and then I think maybe we'll quickly get some glass in place, or some topology in place for that. And then hopefully in the next episode it'll just be a simple case of extracting all the panels ready to start getting this thing smoothed. So in the last episode we worked on the side skirt. There's a little bit at the front of that which I would like to adjust, but I think I'll do that once all the panels are joined together. It's looking a little bit wobbly down there, so I'd like to resolve that once everything's joined. We worked on the diffuser as well, and I think we also stuck in a basic floor under here as well. As we progress we may make that a little bit more detailed, we may not. We'll see. So I think we'll start over here. Now on my reference images it looks like this doesn't actually travel all the way down here. It looks like it stops maybe around here. It should be fine. I think what I want is I might want this touched, so maybe sit up here. Something like that. Just make sure I still sit okay, which it is. So what it looks like is it looks like this here, this edge, it looks like this comes down to this point and then it comes around here. So let's just bring these into position. So it looks like it does something like this. So it looks like that kind of shape, this kind of edge here. It's all the way along, maybe it's not quite that deep. Something kind of like that. Maybe, let's see if we can bring this down here. If we snap this point there. And then this point, something like this. Now, obviously this is a bit smoother, but I think it does kind of go out to a point, and when we do smooth this edge, it will obviously curve that out a little bit nicer along there. And then what I think is if we hit Control E down here and bring this out, this fades out at around this point. So I'm going to hold Control V and I'm going to merge those together. I'm just going to do the same with this point here. Bring that in as well. So it actually looks like we have something like that. Now, what we may have to do is we may have to create an additional line inside here. That's not really something that I would want to do. So we'll try something a little bit different. Let's grab because again it looks like we're going to want to have one coming across there as well. But obviously we've got an awful lot of geometry in this point here, and also all of that's kind of sat quite nicely just now. Let's maybe aim to bring this a little bit higher up here. So it looks like what we may need to do, we may need this. So if we grab this point and pull this out in line here, we might want this to actually come down here, like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my tool settings here. Let's do it to the component, just so we're not making too much of a mess. Pull those down, something like that. Which looks good. And we can bring that back now to the world. I think what we'll need here is we're going to want to grab this point and these points, and we're going to bring these down here. And again, first thing we'll do is we'll just make sure that we've not ruined our flow down that side. All now is now to insert an edge loop around here. You can pick that arch back up as well. And then just make sure we're maintaining some kind of flow there. Now that should mean we can grab here and bridge, and here and bridge that too. The thing we'll need to do is maybe if we pull this in, we want to get that back here. We're also going to want to make sure that we're maintaining some level of curve in here. Like so. And what we'll need to do is we'll grab all of these edges here, but we're going to need to make sure we're matching. So what we'll do is we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, but only 2 here. So what I'm actually going to do at this point is I'm going to grab a tool here. I'm just going to create 2 new vertices on here. Which is going to allow me to bridge these gaps here. And then we'll maybe fill the hole there. Because what's actually going to happen here is once these panels are extracted, we've just got a few extra lines on this side. So let's go back. Here what we'll actually do is we'll take that section there, extrude it in. So for now we'll leave that just like this, but when it comes to extracting the panels, we've got a little bit of space to work with now. Let's see. I think this bit here, a little bit more curve. Still a bit more curve here as well. And up here. So we'll leave that for now. And once we extract the panels, we'll think about that in a little bit more detail. so that's looking good. So I think what we'll do now is we'll work on our rear spoiler here. So let's just, maybe gonna grab these points here, just drop them down ever so slightly. And it looks like the spoiler only actually starts on here, so I'm gonna grab this, these faces. And I'm just gonna hit Control E. I'll drag these up here. What it looks like is, looks like at this point it's fairly low, because this is obviously the start of the spoiler here. What we'll actually do is we'll actually extrude up off the edges instead. So rather than taking the faces, we'll do this. And the normals are coming up quite nicely there. Okay. And then we'll do this. Grab these here. We'll extrude those this way. As we can see now, normals not so much, so we'll grab those, mesh display, and reverse the normals on there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all these points here, all these edges should I say, and we will extract them, give us these extra bits, and then we are going to mesh and combine them. That will allow us now to grab these bits here and bridge. So we're going to have the same kind of bridge on that one. This will give us the same faces, more or less, that we are sitting on further down. On here, I'm just going to snap these points over here. Something like that. Then we can just simply merge these together. Just hitting G here. And we'll fill the hole here. I think the last thing we'll do is we'll grab an edge loop down here. We'll just dip it down. Maybe not quite that much. Just get a bit curve in there. That should work okay for now. I think what we could actually do at this point is we could add in here our door handle. So if we grab our edge loop tool, what we'll do is we'll drop one in just yeah, we'll go just here, and actually we'll cheat this a little bit and we'll go here and here. Okay. We're going to need to make sure that we reflect that down here too. But before we do, let's just double check those up top. Okay. the face here, here, and here. Okay, that looks okay. And the curvature looks okay too. So I'll drop some loops in down here. It's just getting nice and close. We'll just drop them in the exact same spot. Obviously we'll be merging these at some point. Looks like I could put that a little bit closer. Like that. Okay. Right, so what we'll do for this is we need to go up here and we're going to need to bring in a shape to help us define this. So what we'll do is we'll bring in a nice sphere. For the sphere, we're going to take it to the correct spot and scale it down to the correct height. What we're also going to need to do is we're going to need to take some of the subdivisions here down on that sphere, so we'll maybe say 6 and 6. Okay. Let's maybe say 4 and 4. That may work. Let's try. I think 6 and 6 should be on the money. Get that rotated around here. Okay, so what we need from this is we need to firstly we'll delete all of these faces here. Looks to me like maybe 6 and 6 is a bit too many. Let's try. Let's try 4 and 4. That should work a little bit better. So we'll take away these frontal faces now. Like so. And we'll grab these and we're going to do what we did earlier. We're going to mesh display and we are going to reverse these here. The reason we're going to reverse them is because we want our faces to be on the outside here, because we're going to have this match and merge into our car body. Now what I want to do at this stage is I'm just going to grab this, hit Control D, and I'm just going to pull it over here just so we don't mess anything up. And what we'll want to do with this is we'll want this new shape to be roughly the shape of our section here. So something like that. And essentially what we want to do is we want it to delete any of the faces that kind of coincide here. Now what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to grab this line here and I'm going to remove that one. So let's edit mesh, delete edge and vertices, and we'll do the same, the corresponding edge we made here. The reason we'll do that is because I think we want it a little bit further away. So we'll maybe go something more like this. And obviously we'll go down here and insert this back into. So we'll do that, and now we'll delete these faces again. Okay. Now, I think what we'll want to do at this point is we're going to want to grab another line in the center here to match our geometry. So we're going to go into this shape here, and we're going to try do something like that, just so we've got a kind of a double section in the middle there. And with those two selected, I'm just going to put a bit more space in between, just to kind of reflect the kind of space that we have here. Now what we want to do at this point is we want to grab this and take it back. And we want this to be roughly in line with our car. So let's just turn off our X-ray. So it looks like here we probably want it to be a bit more like that angle. I'll take that here. What we're also going to want is we're going to want to grab these lower sections here. Obviously these are going to curve with the car, so we'll want to bring them around something like that. Let me take this one a bit more. And then we want this one to be obviously coming back here. And then these to follow. So what we're essentially wanting here is we don't want this to be bulging out of the car. So I'm going to take those into. Something like that. Okay, so we've got that in there now, kind of reflecting the same shape as the car. So what we're actually going to do here is we're going to grab these edges and we're going to extrude them in towards this element here. And this is a good point now to kind of get these flowing on that same kind of line. And we can see here that this one is bursting out ever so slightly. So we'll take that back. This one's doing the same. So do something like that. Needs to go in a little bit too. Okay. Now what we're going to need to do as well is we're going to need to insert an edge loop down the middle there. grab this here and we're going to merge that over here. Which is fine. We're going to snap this here and this here. And we're going to draw a line from here to here. Which is going to allow us to snap just there. Okay. I think what we should be able to do is we should be able to meet that point in the middle maybe. Or alternatively we could just add another edge in here. Like so. Okay. We're going to need to insert an edge loop in the center here. And again, I'll match that down here. And we'll grab this one, which will allow us to merge it down here. And then we'll do the same. We'll drop one in here, and we'll drop one down there. Okay. So that's looking good. And then we're just going to do the same with the other side here. So we'll grab each of these, we're going to hit Control E. We'll come along just inside here. Again, kind of go along to follow the shape. Like that. And up here. So again, this will give us good scope. We can alter all this as well once we've combined them. This will give us good scope to make sure we're in line over here. And we'll just do the same. We'll bring this around here. And we can merge. I'll drop this here and here. Like this, merge those two, merge these ones here as well, and something like that. So you can see there, I've got that aligned in there quite nicely. Doesn't seem to be any bobbles with the bodywork, which is good. Does look like it goes in quite far. So we'll get a slightly better curve to that bit there. Okay, that looks good. And then what we can do is we can grab these and combine, and then we'll just run around our edges here and merge them. Okay. looks like it's fitting quite nicely. What we can do at this point is we can just pull and push any little bits here that we think may not be aligning, but I think maybe this point comes out a little bit. I think everything else there is looking good, so just take some time, make sure that you've aligned that nicely with your body panel before you drop it in. Now what I'm going to do with this file when I overwrite it with the next file is I will keep this here just for now. Just make sure that we're going to be sat. And if that's not going to look any good, we can just replace it with the existing panel. Obviously we have one here as well, but that'll be swapped over. So I think what we'll do now is we could have a think about adding in some space for some windows. Now I think what we'll want to do for that is we'll probably want to get all of these panels here attached. It does look like on our windscreen that there isn't actually an exterior seal. The way it used to work on cars was that there was generally a little bit of rubber that ran around the edge here, which made kind of a seal, and then the window obviously was part of that rubber, but now a lot of cars are sealed underneath the windscreen where it attaches to the actual body panels. So that saves us a little bit of work. And the only thing we're going to really want, if I find a better image here, what we could add in just now is, let's see, it's nothing really reference wise, but what we're going to want to consider is we'll have an extra layer underneath here where the wipers go. So the window wipers will be sitting just underneath the line of the bonnet, but it looks like maybe it just goes to this point here. So I think what we could do is we could grab, maybe not that one, we'll grab these edges here, we'll just hit extrude and we'll just pull that in, something like that. Basically what we can do here is we'll grab this now and we'll extract this. So this is just giving us the shape that we needed. Let's just center the pivot so we can work a little bit better. We'll just go really something like that. It's often the case as well that this element kind of angles up to start off the shape there of the windscreen. So generally that would do something like that. What we'll do is we'll grab the inner points. We'll just pull it along underneath there to hide the kind of discrepancy. And if we grab the edge here, we'll bring this along like here and here. And what we'll want to do is I'm going to grab this point and I'm going to snap it to the lowest portion of that section there. And then with this block, I'm just going to pull it in here. Get that around, something like that. And it's just going to be a case that what our windscreen is going to do is our windscreen is going to basically go from here down to here, across there, there, and there. So that's basically going to outline where our windscreen is going to start and finish. And what's going to happen here for us is it's not going to connect, the windscreen is not going to connect from the roof here to the top of the hood of the bonnet. It's going to actually connect to this section down here. So that's looking okay. What we could actually do as well at this point is we could actually make it so that this edge is where our windscreen comes from. So if we grab all of these here, hit Control E, and just bring this up, it's going to form our windscreen. Generally what I like to do with the windscreens is I'm going to bring it right to its very top point first. Often, if you see tutorials or other videos online, there's a few horror shows where people are trying to put too much geometry across here, but all we're really going to do is drop two lines in across. They're going to give us the curve. Looks like maybe we've got too many points here, so what we could actually do, let's just get rid of these. Got too many points. I think what we could do is we could maybe keep this one. What we could do is let's remove this one here. So I'm going to delete the edge there. I'll just pull each of these along a little bit more. The less geometry on these windscreens, the better, really. So we want to make sure that they're nice and smooth. Okay, so we'll do that again. So we'll grab these. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 all together. Actually, no, let's keep those. Let's bring these back in. Okay. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to drop another edge loop on the roof here. I'll just bring that a little bit nicer into position. And then the same over here. And then if we grab this whole point, go to the front here, make sure that we're curving off there too. So let's grab these edges again. And I'm going to snap these to their corresponding points again up here. I think it was a good idea to add that point back in. Do that. So you can see now we've got a nice smooth windscreen. So a lot of horror shows you'll have online, if people have too much geometry up this point here, having too much geometry up there means that I'm just going to have a disastrous curve. Now it looks like on here we actually want this windscreen to be starting over here. I actually want it to be somewhere over there. So what we'll do is we'll just make sure that we're maintaining a nice curve here. Something like that. So I want to make sure we're maintaining a nice curve, and again here, maybe curve down just a little bit there. I want to make sure as well that this is curving nicely too. And our inner points here are kind of reflecting that as well. Even though it's hidden. And what we want to do with these is we're going to want to insert an edge loop, and we're going to drop one at the top here. Now if we check the side view, we can see that we're already looking half decent on here. So we're just going to pull it forward here just to match, and then we're going to snap this over here. Now it's important here we can see that we're not actually running correctly. So what we'll do is we're going to need to make sure we're coming forward at this point and this point too. And maybe go up as well. Okay. And then it looks like we'll want to snap that there. Okay, so we'll grab another edge loop and we're going to drop this on again around here. And pull this out. And then snap over here. And again, we'll just check. If you can see that time we're already looking pretty good. I'm going to take it in though. Okay. Then we're going to do the same again. We'll insert an edge loop down here. You can see we're already matching that curve quite nicely on there, which is fine. Now it looks like maybe here we actually want these points to be a bit further out. It looks a little bit wavy there. Do the same up here too. Okay, so that's looking good. Quite happy with that as a windscreen. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all the faces for the screen, except obviously those sections down there. I'm going to extract those too. And at this point here, we can actually start to think about putting some glass on. So in our Hypershade editor, we have this here. What we can do, we can bring in a new blend. I want this to be fairly dark, and then have an element of transparency too. And we can select this here, apply to the selection there. So we start to see that we're got a transparent layer on there. Maybe we'll brighten it up so it's not quite so dark. Let's do something like that. So we can see that it's there, but we can also see through it. That's fine. And then also I've applied a darker material to the underside and the diffuser of the car. So it's just a darker lambert there, so we'll add that to that section too. Right, so that's looking pretty good. Happy with that. We've got really good handle shape in here, windscreen, all that good stuff. We've got the spoiler in there, so I think we'll stop here for now. In the next episode, what we'll do is we will create our other windows. I'll maybe speed that up. I'll create the other windows, and then we'll actually combine all of these panels together so that they are one. Because once they're combined together and are one, it's going to be much easier to extract a lot of those sections. Alright guys? Cool.